Okay, let's talk about retail real estate. Right now, the market is just filled with so much noise, so much uncertainty. And really, it feels like everyone's asking the same exact question. Where is the real growth? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through that static. The goal here is to lay out what looks like a clear playbook for transforming these assets and unlocking their true potential.
You know, this quote right here, it just nails it. It basically says, hey, this isn't a retail apocalypse, not at all. It's a massive reallocation. And that little shift in perspective, well, that's everything. It reframes this whole moment not as something to be afraid of, but as a time of incredible opportunity for anyone who can see what's really happening.
And that really brings us back to the core question, right? With all these mixed signals out there causing investors to just freeze, how do you find the kind of growth you can actually bet on?
So let's dig into the problem first. The investment landscape right now is getting pulled in a dozen different directions. You've got inflation, you've got these huge shifts in consumer habits, digital disruption. It creates a ton of noise, and all that noise leads to this, paralysis, where it's just really hard to make a move. What's becoming super clear is that we're living in a new reality. The market's not just changing, it's changing at a breakneck speed. And you know, this isn't some temporary dip that's going to bounce back. It's a permanent structural shift. And that means the old way of doing things, just sitting back, collecting rent, that passive ownership model, is quickly becoming a massive liability.
So you see all the headlines about bankruptcies, and it's easy to think it's all doom and gloom. But what if it's not? What if what we're actually seeing is a necessary culling? Maybe these closures aren't the end of the story. Maybe they're the start, the catalyst that unlocks all this prime, strategically located real estate. And the scale of this is, well, it's pretty significant. Just look at Big Lots, for example. We're talking more than 15 closures just from their bankruptcy proceedings alone. Then you've got Cons and Badcock. They're looking at a full portfolio liquidation of over 56 stores. That's a huge amount of space hitting the market.
And this isn't just smaller players. You've got giants like Walgreens and Family Dollar planning over 75 closures as they optimize their footprints. It really feels like a widespread reset is happening.
So, what does one of these vacancies actually mean for a landlord? It's so much more than just a missed rent check. I mean, you could be looking at 12, maybe 18 months of downtime. The cost to get a new tenant in there can soar into the millions. And then there's the really scary part, the co-tenancy clauses. It's a domino effect. One big tenant leaves, and suddenly your other tenants might get rent breaks or even the right to leave too. It can cause a total cascading failure.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But where's the solution? Where's the signal in all this noise? Well, it seems to be pointing in one very, very clear direction: the restaurant and experiential sector. This looks like the single most powerful growth engine in the retail world today.
And the data here just screams it. While other retail categories are kind of treading water or even shrinking, restaurants and experiential concepts are just booming. This is the data-backed signal showing where capital and leasing efforts should probably be focused. This is the stuff that's actually driving foot traffic and creating real sustainable value.
And you can see this playing out with real brands leading the charge. We're talking about serious, institutional-grade companies here. You've got Kike's Breakfast Cafe, which is backed by Denny's, planning a staggering 30% unit growth. Then there's PocoWorks, targeting 50% growth, and Eggs Up Grill, just consistently and reliably expanding across the Southeast. These are the kinds of tenants that are shaping the future.
Now here's the really exciting part. This isn't just about filling an empty space. It's about unlocking a massive amount of embedded equity. Just think about the huge gap between the low, legacy rent that an old dine store was paying and what these new high-demand tenants are willing to pay today. That difference is an incredible value opportunity.
And the numbers, they're just something else. An old box store might have been paying, what, $10 to $15 a square foot? I mean, that could be 60% below the current market. But a new, high-demand concept is coming in closer to $28, maybe even $42. That's a potential rent lift of over 150%. It's a completely different.
And here is what that transformation actually looks like. I mean, just look at this. On the left, you've got a dead, empty Cons Home Plus, and on the right, a vibrant, thriving pickleball kingdom. This is the perfect example of that metamorphosis, from a forgotten furniture box to a bustling hub for the community.
So how do you actually do this? How do you bridge that gap from a vacant liability to a value-creating asset? Well, it takes a really disciplined, strategic approach. You need a playbook.
And this playbook seems to break down into a clear 4-step process.
First, you recapture the asset and really analyze the market. Second, you target and engage with the actual decision makers in these high-growth sectors. Third, you underwrite all the costs and structure the right deal. And fourth, you execute the plan and deliver a stabilized, credit-backed income stream. And if you want to see where this trend is happening first and fastest, all eyes are on Florida. It's like an incubator for this whole evolution. You've got a pro-growth environment, a diverse population, modern retail. It's the perfect place to see what's working. The trends that succeed in Florida often end up being the blueprint for the rest of the country.
All of this really points to one critical takeaway. Passive ownership is no longer an option. It's just not going to cut it anymore. This market cycle demands active management, it demands strategic foresight, and it demands the conviction to invest in transforming these assets for the next generation.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about when you look at your own assets. That vacant box, that underperforming anchor. Is it just a liability that's bleeding you dry? Or is it potentially the single most valuable repositioning opportunity in your entire portfolio? The choice, it seems, is yours.